1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, I'm Noggs, and this is Noggs House. We're going to start with the very beginning of the universe. And we're going to start with the very beginning, the Big Bang Singularity. A singularity is basically an incredibly tiny point that's smaller than anything you can imagine. Picture all the stuff in our entire universe, every star, planet, and speck of dust, squeezed into something tinier than a grain of sand. Actually, way tinier than that. This point was super hot and super dense. Dense means packed really tightly together. Scientists think this is where our universe started about 13.8 billion years ago. It's hard to understand because our normal rules of science kind of break down at this point, but it's starting place for everything. The name Big Bang makes it sound like a giant explosion, like a firework going off. But that's not quite right. The Big Bang wasn't an explosion in space, it was space itself growing bigger. Think of it like blowing up a balloon. The balloon's surface is getting bigger and everything on it is spreading apart. That's what happened with space itself. Before the Big Bang, there was no space and there was no time as we know it. Both space and time started with this event, and space has been stretching and growing ever since. Right after the Big Bang started, something amazing happened called cosmic inflation. In an incredibly tiny fraction of a second, way faster than you can blink, a small piece of space grew to be huge. We're talking about growing more than a trillion times bigger. This super fast growth helps explain why the universe looks the way it does today. During inflation, tiny ripples, kind of like tiny waves, got stretched out big. These ripples would later become the places where galaxies form. After inflation stopped, all that energy turned into something else. Particles. Particles are the tiny building blocks that make up everything. At first, the universe was like a super hot soup filled with things called quarks and electrons. Quarks are even smaller than atoms. They're some of the tiniest pieces of matter that exist. The universe was so hot that these particles were just bouncing around freely, too hot to stick together. It was like a crazy energetic soup of the smallest bits of matter. Within just a few millionths of a second, the universe cooled down just enough for something important to happen. The quarks started sticking together in groups to make protons and neutrons. Protons and neutrons are the particles that sit in the center of the atoms. That center part is called the nucleus. This was a big deal because now the universe had the basic pieces needed to build atoms, which make up everything around us. Over the next few minutes, the universe kept cooling down, and protons and neutrons started joining together through a process called fusion. Fusion means combining. This created the nuclei, centers, of the very first elements. An element is a basic type of matter, like hydrogen or helium. Most of what was formed was hydrogen, the lightest element, and helium, the second lightest. There were also tiny amounts of deuterium, a special type of hydrogen, and lithium. Scientists can predict exactly how much of each should have formed, and when they look at the universe today, the amounts match perfectly. This is really good evidence that the Big Bang happened. For about 380,000 years, the universe was like thick fog. You couldn't see through it. Light kept bouncing off free electrons floating around. But once the universe cooled to about 3,000 degrees Kelvin, that's still super hot, about 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Those electrons finally stuck to the hydrogen and helium nuclei. This made the first complete atoms. An atom is a tiny particle made up of a nucleus with electrons around it. When the electrons attached, the universe suddenly became clear and see-through. Light could finally travel freely. That ancient light is still around today. We call it the cosmic microwave background radiation. It's like a baby picture of our universe. Once atoms formed, gravity took over. Gravity is the force that pulls things together. Remember those tiny ripples from inflation? Those became areas where atoms were packed a little closer together. Over millions and billions of years, gravity pulled more and more hydrogen and helium gas into these spots. Eventually they collapsed and formed the first stars, giant balls of burning gas. Stars grouped together to make galaxies, which are huge collections of billions of stars. This process kept going, creating the universe full of galaxies that we see today. And it all came from that tiny point almost 14 billion years ago. Thanks for hanging out with me today at Noggs House. We traveled through time to see how our universe went from a tiny super hot point to everything we see around us. Stars, galaxies, and all. Pretty wild, right? But our story isn't over yet. Next time we're going to talk about something mysterious called the Cosmic Dark Ages, a time when the universe had no stars at all. I hope you'll come back and join me for that. See you next time.